Hi, welcome to Sylvie's technique vlog. If you're not familiar with my technique vlogs, I introduce something that I'm working on in my own training. They're not necessarily demonstrational, they're not necessarily instructional. They can be both of those things in what I'm doing, but that's not their purpose. Their purpose is me kind of ruminating, expounding on something that I'm working on in my own training, and hoping that it inspires other people or gives them ideas of things to work on their own. So there's always a shorter version where I just introduce the idea, show you how to do it, and you can go play with it in your gym immediately. That's for free, it's on YouTube, and you can see the playlists on YouTube of all my technique vlogs. I also do a longer, more involved, way more detail, the things I'm running into, things that I actually have worked on or seen or where I learned it, and that's for my patrons. If you're not yet a patron, you can click on the link in the description below. It's easy to become one. And as a patron, you also have access to the Muay Thai Library, documentary projects, interviews, things like this. So Kevin and my Muay Thai Bones podcast as a subscription, tons of stuff. So there are lots of reasons to become a patron, as well as supporting content like this for free for everyone. This technique vlog actually came out of a problem that I observed in one of Yodkun Pan's students. So Yodkun Pan had a student come up and train with him for about a month, and he basically had a really hard time with continuity in his shadowboxing. We have a brilliant, beautiful session with Yodkun Pan in the Muay Thai Library that's all on shadowboxing, the importance of it, how to do it, what to focus on, all these different things. So absolutely go watch that. It is the greatest, I don't know, academic and instructional and thoughtful work on shadowboxing, which you can see him doing in the background right now. But it's very hard for people when they first start, or when they come from a different discipline, or when they only have like a little bit of experience in terms of shadowboxing. It's very self-conscious. I have technique vlogs on shadowboxing and what to focus on, what to think about, because it's very, very hard when you first start shadowboxing to kind of come up with an improv, elaborate thing to do. So the difficulty that this student was having was that he had a very basic like 1-2, and then he would pop out all the time. 1-2, pop out. So this is just a learned rhythm. And when Yodkun Pan was telling him, okay, more, like keep going. If you can like say I was, but you actually have no rest of the sentence, and they're like, you can say anything, like go I was, and then the rest of the sentence. It seems really simple, but if you actually don't have experience elaborating out the rest of that sentence, it's incredibly hard. So what I said to this student, because Yodkun Pan called me over to kind of help with talking about this, is that you basically just have to start from where you're at. So if you need to elaborate on your shadowboxing and you're trying to make it like more full, a very, very easy way to start that is just literally become aware of what it is that you're doing. So if you have this thing where you're like 1-2, step back, first step, just become aware of the fact that that's your rhythm. And then you don't even have to come up with like an elaborate next 3-step combination. Literally, you know you're gonna pop out each time. So feel relaxed, because the main thing about shadowboxing is to be relaxed. Relax, relax. Oh shit, I've already stepped back, what do I do? Just block. Now you've come into a new rhythm of shadowboxing. 1-2, shit, I'm back again, block, right? 1-2, I'm gonna hook, good. 1-2, hook, block. So basically, you find what your habit already is. It's very, very hard to break a habit. Takes forever. But the first step is just becoming aware of it, and then as an afterthought, tack the thing on, right? So if you're like 1-2, I don't want to block this time, I'm gonna throw another right, you've now elaborated on your habit without necessarily breaking your habit, but the more you do it, now your habit is gonna become 1-2, step back, something, right? 1-2, step back, block. Then you can try to work on not stepping back. Then you can try to focus on not even starting with a jab, like what's similar to a jab is a teep. So that feels similar to me, so I'm gonna start teep, hook, right? So you just kind of like think about it beforehand and kind of, I don't know, semi-choreograph it. But if you have habits already, blocking is part of shadowboxing. Like literally just pivoting would be part of shadowboxing. So if you've got your 1-2, step back, pivot, right? Then start picturing your opponent following you so that that pivot makes sense. It can go reverse order. Like if you've ever been to New Orleans, a lot of the plumbing is on the outside of buildings because it was an afterthought. They built all the buildings first, then sanitation and plumbing became a thing, and they're like, running water. So they just built it around the house. That's fine. If you already have bad habits, or habits you don't like, I'll call them, in shadowboxing where you're stepping back after 2 things, if you have like a 1-2 step back, just pivot. Now you've got a 1-2 pivot. It's like a slightly different thing. So that's something to work on, just to kind of like start elaborating on your shadowboxing. I'm going to go into more detail about this in the longer version for my patrons. So if you're not yet a patron, you want to see more of that, click on the link in the description below. You can see the full video with much more description and problems and ideas, and I hope you guys enjoy.